Alright traders, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Art. You're watching my first video, and in this video I wanted to go over the reason why most traders, including myself for now, why we are unprofitable. Now, if you're wondering why I look like this, I am a truck driver. I'm currently waiting to get unloaded. I'll show you real quick. This is my truck, or the trailer. That's my truck over there, and that's the other guy getting offloaded. So I figured I'd take 5 or 10 minutes to record a video because I've been analyzing my past trades, past couple of weeks, my mental state and everything that's been happening, and just kind of, I just wanted to share my thoughts, kind of spew out everything that's been brewing in my head and see if anyone resonates with it. And obviously a lot of people will, because we do the same thing because it's our human nature. So what I'm trying to get at is the reason why we're unprofitable. Now, a lot of people think, and I used to also, the reason why I was unprofitable, what I thought, was because of strategy. I thought I had the wrong strategy. I thought it was not working. I tried everything. I tried different things, support resistance, trend lines, all kind of things, man. And some things work better than the others, and generally, yes, some strategies work better than the others, but generally speaking, and you can make any strategy work in your favor if you work the numbers, if you're patient enough, if you hone down your strategy well enough. Like if you get good at it, you're gonna be profitable. It doesn't matter what strategy you trade. The reason why we are unprofitable, though, is because of our discipline, or I would rather say lack thereof. So let me share my experience real quick. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a $50,000 account that I was doing an eval on, and if you know anything about it, you got to get up to 3,000 to pass the eval, or you go down to 2,000 to where you fail the account, and you got to either open a new one or reset it, or doesn't matter. Anyways, so in 1 week, when I was following my rules, when I was being disciplined, when I was waiting for all my confirmation, everything, I got my account up to 1,000. So I was the third way to passing my eval. At that point, I got cocky, I got confident, and I started pretty much slacking off. I wasn't waiting for all my confirmations, all my confluences. I wasn't waiting for my the pre-trade conditions to play out in my favor. I was just kind of winging it because I felt confident. Like I said, I thought that, hey, look, I got this market thing down. I know I'm gonna pass. I know I'm gonna I'm gonna win this trade. And so guess what? I opened a trade and it goes completely different directions. I get stopped out really quickly, and then that's when the emotions kick in. That's when I stop following my rules. That's when I snap out of discipline. So I open that trade, I get stopped out, and then I'm like, wait a second, I gotta get my money back, because I made all this progress. I'm not down to lose it. So guess what? I open another trade now with 3 micros instead of 1, like I was doing earlier when I was actually going up. Anyways, I opened 3, got stopped out, open 5, got stopped out, open 10, so pretty much a mini, and I blew the account. So I opened another one, another account, and I was pretty much waiting, or what am I saying? I was trading, and same thing, trade after trade, just going completely the opposite direction. And this time I was trying to be more disciplined. I was just risking, I was trading 1 micro contract, and I was risking, I think, like $80 at a time. So anyways, I got down to $500 in drawdown, and at which point I'm like, no, I'm not about to blow another account. At which point I spent a copious amount of time with ChatGPT, which I do recommend you also do, because I mean, I would have blown the other account if I just kept on going, and, I would have spiraled out. Anyways, I started trying to figure out, like, hey, what's going on with me? Why am I doing all of this stuff? And ultimately boiled down to me lacking discipline when it comes to waiting for a trade. I was entering way too early. So essentially I was gambling. I wasn't trading. I was just, entering a trade on a whim. It wasn't even me getting all the right confirmations. It was just, I felt like it was going to go up. So I bought. I went long. I know it's ridiculous, but, and then overtraded, even if I got a loss, I started trading again and again, which led to me blowing the account. After all of that, I was devastated, and I understood that it wasn't the strategy. The strategy was good because I got up to 1,000 in profit, but it was the lack of discipline that ended up with me blowing my account. So it's not the strategy. Again, that's what I'm trying to emphasize, and I hope this resonates with you too. If you're unprofitable, it's because 90% chance, 95% chance, it's your lack of discipline. It's you not waiting for confirmation. It's you entering too early. You haven't waited for a liquidity sweep, a break of structure, retrace into a fair value gap. That's my personal strategy. And you go down on a lower time frame, and you wait for a break of structure also into overall the high time frame trend. That's beside the point. And then sizing, I got, because I felt devastated, I wasn't monitoring my feelings. I wasn't being disciplined. I was just taking trade after trade. I was just getting emotional, all these losses. It was just because I was too focused on the end result. I wanted to make money. I wanted to pass my eval. And ultimately, another thing that I wanted to add to, what I'm ranting about is the fact that we as traders, we're not supposed to be focusing on the end result. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's nice to have money. It's nice to be profitable, just chilling on the beach, making 10 grand a day. That's what we all want, right? That's why we got into trading. But the thing is, when we focus on the money, we get too attached to the end result. And it is the reason why we make all these dumb mistakes. That's why we blow out of our discipline. It's because we, it starts hurting emotionally when we start seeing negative P&L. When ultimately our entire focus should be not on the end result, what's further down the road. It's on what am I doing today? Am I making a good trade? Am I following my rules? And I didn't understand that before. Like, I watched videos of people explaining it to me, and it didn't resonate as much as it does now after I actually experienced it, after I actually processed it, after actually experiencing it. Now it makes a lot more sense, but at that time it didn't. So anyways, my point being is we got to focus on the actual process. So waiting for a good setup to form, entering a trade with perfect risk, waiting for it to play out in our favor, and after we either win, which most of the time we should, if we're disciplined, we still got to process it, but that's beside the point. Even if we lose, we still followed our process. That's what our day-to-day life should be like. Hey, I followed my process. Because let me bring this as an example. So if you're into sports, let's say if you're into soccer, you obviously know Ronaldo. If you're into football, who's there? Tom Brady, Michael Jordan for basketball. But anyways, all these great athletes, they weren't focused on the end goal. They weren't focused on getting rich. They weren't concerned about that. They were focused on day-to-day, what they're doing right now in order to get good at their craft, at whatever sport they were playing. They're practicing hours on end. They're practicing all sorts of drills. They're running back and forth, doing all these exercises. They were training. They were, physically and mentally getting more resilient. And the reason why they got so good is because they were focusing on the actual day-to-day, on their process, on their craft, rather than the end result. So once we remove the emotions from trading, and I'm not saying this that you're going to become robotic, you're not going to have any emotions. Oh, no, that's not possible. We're human. We have emotions, but we don't tie emotions to the end result. We tie the emotions to the process, that sense of accomplishment that I did the right thing today by placing a good trade. I waited for my setup. I executed perfectly, but I got stopped out. Oh, shit, okay, it happens. You can't win every time, but still, that kind of helps out with the discipline. You know what I'm saying? It helps you follow your discipline, basically. Once you know that what you're supposed to be doing and what you're focusing on. You execute good, you get stopped out. Okay, tomorrow's gonna be another day. I'm just gonna take this one trade today. If it's a loss, then it's a loss. So that's fine. I'll move on to the next one. Oh, this guy left. All right, let me wrap it up real quick. But anyways, yeah, discipline. Number one killer of accounts. Number one reason why we fail as traders. So in the next 4 weeks, I'm gonna focus till starting Monday, because I'm taking the rest of this week off from trading. I need to reset completely. But anyways, and Monday, and in 4 weeks, I'm gonna show you guys that I'm gonna pass the account. Well, okay, I'm not gonna exactly pass the account. Hopefully I do in the next 4 weeks, but in any case, I'm gonna track how well I focus, how well I follow my discipline, and I suggest you do the same. That's my personal recommendation. That's homework, or your takeaway is that you gotta have your discipline written down, where you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be waiting, the right formation form out. Literally, just take a piece of paper and a pen, write out what your strategy is, and you sit down in front of it. You write down your emotional state, like pretty much annotate, and your decision making. Just write it out. Hey, this happened. All these confluences. Okay, I'm entering the trade. I'm going long, and I'm risking 2-to-1 risk to reward, and just follow through. If you win, that's great. If you lose, no big deal. It's still great. You did great. You followed your rules, and that's it. Let's do it, guys. I swear, if you guys do it, you are going to be way more profitable. And I know for a fact that I'm going to be profitable too. And hopefully this trucking thing is not going to last for too long. But I'm not tying down. I'm ready. Like, if it takes 2 years, I'm okay with it. I don't want to tie emotions down with trading the results. Eventually, it's going to work out, right? It's not going to take 20 years, that's for sure. But anyways, guys, appreciate you watching. Subscribe, like. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.